This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, good morning, welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime as well. Mitzvah Hashem will speak about Parshas Teruma and Inyana de Yoima coming up, Purim, Imirtze Hashem. I want to dedicate the shir for the Atzlach of Ben Zion, Ben Dosa, him and his family should speak. Imirtze Hashem, always Siyata Dishmaya. I want to dedicate the shir for the Ilui Neshama of Zev Ben Doiv. Imirtze Hashem, his Neshama should have a constant aliyah in the Oilamos Elyonim for the merit of his grandson, who does great things. He wants to remain anonymously, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows who he is, and will shower Emet Hashem, his family, with heavenly blessings and ruchnius and gashmius. Ad sheyivlu siv soseichem miloimar dai. Also want to dedicate the shir for the Mazel Tov for my dear Chavrusa, Rebbe Avraham Lewis, who Baruch Hashem, his daughter Esther Lewis just got engaged to Benzi Frankel, a Bachuah Chashuv. Met Hashem, they should be able to build a Bais Godol BeYisrael, Ne'eman LaHashem U'Lotoroso, and successive generations in Met Hashem following the footsteps of these great families who are very dear to me. So now we start Parshas Teruma. Daber Bnei Yisrael v'yikchu li Teruma. You have to give. From whom? Me'es kol ish asher yidvenu libo. Whoever has a generous heart. And this leads us to ask the following halachic question about a donation. There's a Bachor whose name is Reuven. He's 15 years old. His friend Shimon needs a kidney donation. Needs a kidney. Reuven says, I want to donate one of my kidneys to my friend Shimon. But he's only 15 years old. Can we receive a donation from a 15-year-old of one of his kidneys? Does he even understand what that entails, what it means? If he is 8 years old, do we all agree it doesn't even start? Great. He's 4 years old and he wants to give a kidney. Would you take it? I don't think so. He's 8, you're not sure. 15 years old. When he's 30, we'll say yes, right? What's the cutoff line? When do we say, 15, wait a little, wait 3 more years, wait 20 more years. At 15 years old, can we receive his donation or no? If you were not sure about the 8-year-old, you're certain about the 15, right? You have no problem with that. What's that? Do you understand what it means to give a kidney when you're 15?
Parents have to approve?
No parents around. He's on his own. He's an orphan. A 15-year-old calls his own child. I'm 15-year-old. What do you want from me?
Bar mitzvah.
You're saying there's no issue.
After bar mitzvah.
After bar mitzvah. 13 in a minute, you go in and give as many kidneys as you want. Doctor, what do you say?
Don't you have to be 20 to sell?
That's where we're coming from. Gemara. Baba Kama. Baba Basra. I'm going to tell you what he said. Baba Basra, Kuf Nun Vav Amud Aleph, Paskin LaHalacha. And Shulchan Aruch Mishpat. Simin Reish Lamedei Seif Tes. In order to sell land that one inherits from his father, he must be 20 years old, complete 20 years and 2 hairs. Before that, you can't sell land that you inherited from your father. Anywhere. You're above the mitzvah. But you still have to wait 7 more years. 20 complete years and 2 hairs. Or a matnas shchiv merah, not your father, somebody else. He's about to die, he gives you a matana of a shchiv merah, it's called. You're not allowed to sell it. The Shulchan Aruch copies the Rambam, who explains why that is. Even if this kid is very, very sharp, he's in business for a few years already. He buys and sells land all the time. He's not allowed to sell the land that he inherited from his father. Because kids under the age of 20, they go after the earthly desires. I want to have fun now. He may sell land, which is worth a ton of money, and he's going to buy the newest, MP3, scooter, whatever is hot today. And in 2 years from now, all the money evaporated. The kid doesn't have, the Rambam says, Das Shalema. He is not 100% yet understanding how this world works. You have to wait until you're 20 years old. Shulchan Aruch copies the Rambam, which means a young man who goes after fun things may be drawn after them and switch something which has a lot of value, like karka, like land, for money that loses its value and depreciates over time. He's a kal das. Instead of buying something which is important, something which will appreciate with time, he may do the opposite. So much so that Tzemach Tzedek actually discusses whether this is a Dioraisa or Derabanan. It could be that it's at a Dioraisa level, which means it gives us less room to play with. This regarding sale. What about giving a gift? Shulchan Aruch writes, giving a gift, if he is above the age of 13, even though he's under 20, we don't care. Why? Because Shulchan Aruch says, one doesn't give a gift unless he receives some kind of a hana. You have to assume this 14, 16, 18, 19, even though he's above the mitzvah, but he's under the age of 20. Why did he give a gift? Because he got something from a person, and therefore he is just giving back. So it's not stam. He loses his mind and is giving something strange. In our case, lichoira, there would be room to say not to receive this gift, the kidney donation, because the svara of the Shulchan Aruch lichoira is not shayach. Shulchan Aruch says don't receive a gift because, why does he give a gift? Because he got something. He didn't get anything. His friend is in need. He didn't receive anything. So when you didn't receive anything, we cannot receive a gift from you. The svara of the Shulchan Aruch to permit us to receive a gift from a kid like this doesn't apply here. Does he really understand under the age of 20 what a surgery entails? The danger? Do you understand what it is? You don't understand that. When you're 15 years old, like this Reuven, you don't understand it. However, this shayla came to Rav Elyashiv Zatzal, and Rav Elyashiv says there's a big difference between a kid who decides to send land, and that's what the Gemara discusses, and a young bachur who wants to donate a kidney. When one wants to sell land, who knows what he's going to do with the money? He's going to go on a big trip all over the world and spend all the money. Who knows what he's buying? But when one wants to donate a kidney, what is he doing? He is buying himself a gigantic share in the world to come. He is switching something which has much greater value than his kidney. Eternity. Chayei Netzach. So you can't compare it. And this will be true regarding a young person who will sell. Some countries maybe, perhaps, will allow you to do this, to sell a kidney. So over there, he's switching it for money. Then we have the same problem that we said before. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand the value of things. You're giving a kidney for some money. It's the wrong exchange. But if a bachur wants to donate a kidney to save his friend's life, that you can rely on this kid once he is over the age of 13, and this kid is 15. And maybe you can even say, maybe we can actually plug it into the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says his gift is valid because one doesn't give a gift unless he receives something. This guy is going to receive something. He's going to receive honor, and his name is probably going to be all over the papers. You know, this 15-year-old said, it's also something. It's also something. So he is exchanging it for something, and it's not just giving a gift, but even without it, you don't need that, because what he's doing is a tremendous mitzvah. He's saving a life of his friend. And therefore, Rav Elyashiv said that this will be valid. We can accept it once he's over the age of 13. We also have to add that today there's not too much danger in this type of a surgery. Every surgery entails some danger, but minimal risk, and there's no obligation to give a kidney, but one who does is a big tzaddik and a chassid, and it's a great thing to do. And the only loss of this kid is he's going to be uncomfortable for a few days, for a few weeks. He's going to be in the hospital. And potentially, if in the future his kidney that he has now, the remaining kidney, will stop operating, he's going to have a problem. But you don't have to worry about this thing. It's a tremendous mitzvah to donate a kidney. One is not obligated to do so, but it is a tremendous mitzvah. And we must point out that throughout the entire world, the biggest group, statistically, that donates kidneys are Haredim. That the entire world, it's a tremendous Kiddush Hashem, and one who does that, who's involved in this, it's a great mitzvah.
Renewal organization in New York. It's called Renewal.
Renewal in New York. It is also one here.
Yeah, they do.
Behavior, that's all. Since we're talking about sales, let's ask a riddle. We said that one cannot sell land that he inherited from his father if he is under the age of 20, right? Shulchan Aruch, Reish Lamedei, Choshen Mishpat, great. How is it possible that one, I guess he didn't listen to us, he sold land? If he sold it when he was 17 years old, the sale is not valid, as we just said. But if we find that he sold it when he was 14 years old, it's valid. Very strange. Again, two witnesses come and say, we know exactly when the sale was. We say you're not allowed to sell land under the age of 20. So if you're older, 17, 18, we'll say the sale is not valid because Shulchan Aruch said, oh, but you're only 14. Oh, so the sale is valid. Can it be?
Because of the age, it's not.
What's that?
Because of the age.
Because of the age.
The sale is the same sale.
It's the same sale.
Same sale.
But I'm telling you that I found out you did it at 14, 14 and a half, 15. So it's good. 17, no good. Shulchan Aruch is under 20, so you would assume that 17 is better than 14. And yet,
Good deal.
fantastic deal. But Shulchan Aruch didn't say, parentheses, good deal, you can do it.
His brothers also sold it. Like,
Shulchan Aruch said you can't do it if you're under 20. Shulchan Aruch didn't say anything about your brothers and sisters. Shulchan Aruch, there's no extra details and conditions there. It says don't do it, stay away. It's a Gemara, Shulchan Aruch quotes it and quotes the Rambam.
The 17-year-old be confused with the 21-year-old?
What do you mean?
The buyer. Is the buyer...
The buyer looked at you, do that zehut, and so how old are you? 17. How old are you? 14. 17, not valid. You sold it when you were 14? Valid. No, Ibis. You went against Shulchan Aruch, and we'll say it's okay.
let's say he has another debt. The land is worth $1,000 and he owes $1,000.
He's not allowed to engage in business regarding a land that he inherited. Shulchan Aruch mefoirash. What can you do against it? No. No. Shulchan Aruch doesn't say that. Maybe in your edition it doesn't. Chiddush.
If you've done some kind of crime, there's a certain crime that you do, you've got to sell your land to pay for it or do it.
Well, which crime is that? Shulchan Aruch doesn't say that.
There's an apotropos.
Sorry again?
He has an apotropos.
No. There's no apotropos. He himself went when he's 17. He himself went when he's 14. 17, no good. He's right, because Shulchan Aruch said no good. 14, fine. You have to assume that this din in Shulchan Aruch applies to Jewish people. Not to Goyim. Why? The Shulchan Aruch, the Shiurim, one is 13 years old. Shchai b'mitzvahs. That's halacha l'Moshe Messinai. The Rambam says only applies to us. The Sam Sofer says, what about Goyim? When are they chayav in Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach? When? So Sam Sofer says it depends. Each person according to his charifus. When he starts understanding. So Goy is 6 years old and he's smart. He understands things. 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it is. It has nothing to do with 13 because 13 is a measure given only to us. Shiurim halacha l'Moshe Messinai. So if this kid was 14 years old as a Goy and he sold it, it's valid. At 15 years old, he went and converted. If he sold it at 17, no good. Shulchan Aruch said no. So at 17 as a Jew, no good. But if you find out that he inherited it when he was a Goy and he sold it at 14 when he was still a Goy, that lichoira will be valid. It could be, some opinions say that this will go for Goyim as well because zil basar time, go after the reason. The Rambam explained to us what the reason. Before the age of 20, you don't have a das shlema to understand what you're doing and you may exchange the land for something which is foolish. So that lichoira will apply to Goyim. But according to the Sam Sofer, according to the normal understanding, that this is only to Jewish people. So if he's 14 when he sold it, it will be valid when he was a Goy. 17 as a Yid, it won't be valid. By the way, there are countries today that also limit selling land. UAE, Nigeria, only 21. And many countries, it has to do with legal adulthood, which means at the age of 18, some countries, US, binding contract, you can only enter when you're 18. Other countries, 18, 19, 20, 21, in that range, many countries will limit it. The Beis Shlomo already writes, Beis Shlomo, that many countries limit the age until the age of 24. That was in his time. So it's not such a strange thing. I don't know why other countries do it, but we know why we do it because the Rambam explained to us why. Ve'asu li migdash ve'shachanti b'soicha. Build Beis Hamikdash, and Chazal call the shul a mini Beis Hamikdash. Beis Mikdash Meyat gives us a chance to speak about shuls. Menoras Hamao writes, Haboine Beis HaKnesses L'Shem Shamayim. If you're involved in building a shul, L'Shem Shamayim, Zoiche Veroye Bebinyan Yerushalayim. You will see the Geula. You built, you will see Yerushalayim rebuilt. Mida keneged mida. Sam Sofer and Charles Juvis Simon Koach, Simon Kaf Ches and Or Chaim writes that the furniture in the shul, in the building of the shul, is compared to the Beis HaMikdash. There's a reason why the bima is always in the middle of the shul. And he talks about every single item in the shul and the way to build, to construct the shul, and he says that comparable to Beis HaMikdash. So it's no coincidence when you go to shuls, and many shuls, most shuls have the same thing. The Oren Kodesh is here, the Bima is here, and there's a reason behind it. Sam Sofer, his son, the Ksav Sofer, does the same thing, and they compare the building of the shul to the building of Beis HaMikdash. Chazal darshan a pasuk, Dirshu Hashem behimatzoi. Pasuk from Yeshaya. We always understand it to mean, when should you seek HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Aseres Yemei Tshuva, when he is near. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is as if the king is walking in the field. That's what Chazal say. But there's another Chazal. I think it's a little less known. In Yerushalmi, in Brachos, Perek Hey, Halacha Aleph. And Chazal say not when, but where. Dirshu Hashem behimatzu, heichan hu matzui, and where is he found? Bebate knesios ubebate midrashos. So that's year long. It's not just a Aseres Yemei Tshuva, not just Elul. Even in the middle of Chodesh Adar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always found. In the shul, that's where he hangs out. In the shul and in the Beis Medrash. And if a person sinned, he's full, loaded with aveiros. Yalkut Shimoni, very encouraging. In Parshas Balak, Remez Tafshin Ayin Aleph, 14 years ago. Today is Tafshin. 15 years ago, Tafshin Ayin Aleph. That's how you remember the Remez. Yalkut Shimoni, it's easy to remember Remazim because most of them are like the years, especially when you get to the Tafshin, it's like our years. So the Yalkut Shimoni says, compares it to a nachal, to a river. Just like if a person is impure, and he jumps into the river, and he comes out and he's 100% pure, so too, if a person goes to the shul, and he is full of averos, and he comes out full of mitzvahs, and the shul purifies you like the mikveh purifies those who are impure. Amazing. Brachos daf ches in Bavli. One who comes to the shul will get a richus yamim, longevity, just for coming to shul. Yerushalmi, again, the same place we quoted before, in Brachos, Perek Hey, Halacha Aleph. Yerushalmi says, one who davens in the shul, it's as if he brought a mincha tehoira. That's the language of the Yerushalmi. Why? Yerushalmi darshans a pasuk. It's an akli tahor. You went to a pure vessel, that is the shul, so it's as if you brought a korban, because when you daven, it's comparable to bringing korbanos, unishal mafarim sfaseinu, so you bring it in a pure vessel. Which, after all this, leads us to a halachic question. There's a person who's watching over a sick person. He's helping him in the hospital, and he wants to know more if he's in his house. Should I make an effort to go daven in the shul? I'm not talking if it comes on cheshbon of the guy who's in bed. Of course not. He's sleeping now. We know he's going to sleep for an hour. Do I have to have the tircha to go to the shul and daven when I can daven here? What's the advantage of davening by the sick person? So Gemara in Shabbos Yud Beis. Shchina merasho isav shel choyle. Chazal darshan apasuk yisadenu. Hashem yisadenu al eretz vay. Hashem is there with the choyle. That the Shchina is mamish there with the sick person. So why am I going to shul? Because the Shchina is there. We just said the Shchina is always there. Great, but the Shchina is also here. So why should I burn myself? Excuse me. Going to the shul to get the Shchina. The Shchina is right here. Any Indian to go to the shul when you're already involved with the choyle and the Shchina is right there?
Never heard of an Indian to go to a sick person's house to have a minion there unless the person is asking for a minion as a test about it. I never heard like a debate like where should we go this time for a minion? Should we like go to their house?
What's the proof to what you're saying? The kupot shel tzedakah. Yuchab? Tzedakah organizations are so good at inventing new sguros. If there was such a thing, they would already invent the school. Instead of going to Kivei Tzadikim, we're going out to the hospital, to this and this department. All the Gedei Yisrael will come and they will down for you by the choyle. We never heard of such a thing, right? Yet. Wait, it's coming. Maybe after this year. Very creative. You must have given me very creative. But davening b'tzibur is extremely important. So important that the Gemara in Brachos Chaf Aleph Amud Beis has a hava amina that if a person daven bichidus and then he found a minion, he should daven again. Yachid legabei tzibur keman delo tzali dami. Sorry. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברי. The Gemara says, Yachid legabei tzibur, tefillah b'yichidus, compared to a tefillah in shul, it's as if you didn't daven. Big Chiddush. Brachos, Bavli. Brachos Chaf Aleph, Amud Beis. The Gemara in Shabbos, Yud Beis Amud Beis says, if you ask Ribono Shel Olam for whatever that it is that you need, but you do so in Aramaic, the Malachim don't help you. Why they don't help you? They don't understand Aramaic. And there's a lot of different languages. They're not very good at Aramaic. Comes a Tmim Deim, the Ravid, and he brings in the name of Rabbi Yehuda ben Yakar. Who's the Rebbe ben Yakar? The Rebbe of Rashi. Heavyweight. And he says, it's not that the Gemara wants to say that angels don't understand a word in Aramaic. They do. But when they see a person who's davening in Aramaic, they say, nah, we're not going to use this davening to bring you up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But betzibur, if you're davening betzibur, you can use any language that you want, including Aramaic. And he says, and so too by the choyle, so too by the sick person. Machzor Vitri, again, this is Rishonim, says the same thing. And the reason, because of what the Gemara says, that the Shechina is found by a sick person. If the Shechina is there, the angels can take the tefillah, take it up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though you're using the wrong language. And with that, Rabbi Yosef Zatzal said, in Slichos we say some things in Aramaic, right? Mechayu we say Yachid, an individual doesn't say it. But Yachid, who is a choyle, who's a sick person, since the Shechina is right there, he can say it. Same idea, Yekum Pulkan. Yekum Pulkan for the Chachmei HaTorah, which one doesn't say when he davens by himself, but if he's a sick person, there's many opinions that he can say it. Because the Shechina is right there. It's like you're davening b'tzibur.
What if it's in the minyan, but they said it before him or after him? Is that considered betzibur or?
As long as the laning didn't start, you can still say the Yekum Pulkan, even though they already finished saying it. But you're a betzibur, you can still say it until the laning started.
That would be like rich man also?
Yeah. However, the choyle, we're saying it's the same thing. You're davening by the choyle, it's just like davening in a shul. It's not. You're missing the ma'ila of berov am, rov am hadas melech. The more people are around, the more beautification to the king. And Kiddush Hashem. Contrary to popular belief. We normally understand that going to the shul and davening b'tzibur is derabanan. That part is true. But when you go to the shul and davening b'tzibur, you have a chance to do mitzvahs d'oraisa. That is Kiddush Hashem. When you answer Baruch, Baruch Hu, when you answer Kadosh, 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 when you answer Tekadish Amen Yehish Meraba, since you're doing it with 10 men, it's considered a mitzvah d'oraisa called Kiddush Hashem. So the reason to go to shul is to daven, and that is a mitzvah d'Rabbanon. Davening in the shul is a mitzvah d'Rabbanon. But when you do so, by default, you also are gaining mitzvahs d'oraisa that you won't be able to do when you're staying with the sick person or the sick person himself. And it could be bichlal that this whole inyan that Chazal say that the Shechina is there, is a big inyan to daven where the choyle is there, that's regarding this patient, that he should be healed. But not other things, not related. And when you go to daven, you ask for a lot of different things, not related to this sick person. And therefore, one should go to shul. Of course, we're not talking about, it comes on the account of the sick person who's going to stay himself. I'm sorry, I have to go to shul. That you don't do. You don't leave the sick person. Poor guy, he needs your help. No, I'm sorry. Or you say, we're mitzvah patum in a mitzvah, and there's a big mitzvah. But if you know for a fact he went to sleep or somebody else is switching, just using the argument, but the Shechina is here, that doesn't work. One should go to the shul because of all the sources that we saw. Is an unbelievable perush of Rabbi Tzalel Volozhin, the son of Reb Chaim Volozhin. Yishmael is sick, very sick, right? So Hagar davens, Ishmael davens, and whom did HaKadosh Baruch Hu listen to? Ishmael. And the pasuk says why? You know why? Al tiri, ki shama Elokim eskol hanar. The angel speaks to Hagar, says, don't worry. HaKadosh Baruch Hu listen to kol hanar. Why? Ba'asher hu sham. We normally understand it to mean because Ishmael is there, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu listen to him when he davens. Says a bit of that's not what it says here. Ba'asher hu, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right there next to the sick person's bed, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu listen to his prayer because he's right there. Gewaldig. That's lah. Yeah.
He said that he knows that he couldn't sleep for an hour, so he goes to shul. But let's say he gets up in the middle. So let's
talk about a case that you have somebody else who can step in. We're not talking when it comes into the account on cheshbon of the patient. That we're not discussing. Of course, if you know any second he may wake up and he's going to need you, don't leave. But if we know for a fact somebody else came instead of you, we said, why should I go? Shechina is right here, should go to shul. The tzlach, in Drush Tzlach, in Drush Kaftet, writes a remarkable thing. He says, Ani mazhir, I'm warning you, make sure you only daven in a shul. Why? He says, even a Godol Shebegedolim, the greatest tzaddik, can't say, I always have kavanah in my tefillah. Always do have kavanah. I don't remember even once not having kavanah. There's no such thing. If that's the case, if you daven without kavanah, he calls it psulei hamukdashin. It's as if you brought a korban that has some kind of a disqualification. That tefillah doesn't ascend. It stays somewhere hovering in the air of the best medish of the shul. Later, at one point, you will have a good davening. Next week, in a year from now, in many years from now, when you finally have a good davening with kavanah, all those tefillahs that got stuck in the air of the shul will be able to move up to Kodesh Baruch Hu. But that only happens in the shul, not at home. Why? Says the Tzlach, I'll tell you why. In Zvachim Pei Dalet Amud Aleph, the Gemara says, if you have a korban, you bring it with the wrong machshava, you have a problem. You disqualify the korban. But if it's already in the Kodesh, Kol shepsula b'kodesh, kodesh mekabloi. If it happens while it's already on the Mizbeach, great, keep it there. But if you had the wrong machshava before, no good. So if you're in the shul, and the shul is like a best man, it's like a Mizbeach, if it happens in the Kodesh, it will stay there. Until one day you'll come with good kavanah, it's going to take all your tefillos and take them up there. But if you daven in a different place, not in the shul, kol she'eino b'kodesh, eino kodesh mekablo. And therefore he warns, ani mazhir, make sure you daven only in the shul. And if you think it's a chiddush of the tzlach, it's not just a chiddush of the tzlach. You have a slew of a coalition. Yalkut Me'am Loez, in Parshas Bereshis, brings from the Zohar HaKodesh, that some tefillahs get stuck until a good tefillah comes with kavanah and takes him up. The Yavitz says the same thing, and the Yavitz says, afilu mikama shanim, even from a few years. And then a good tefillah comes and takes everything along with it. The Kavayasha writes the same thing. The Shevet Musa writes the same thing. The Pele Yoetz writes the same thing. Mimele, if one davens in the shul, he can have this. Mitzvah we should always have kavanah. All our tefillahs. Almost close to impossible. But if we chas v'shalom didn't have kavanah, the tefillah will get stuck there. The next tefillah mitzvah will be with kavanah and takes the not so good tefillah along with it all the way up to Shemayim.
The same shul?
What's that?
The same shul?
I don't think so. You're trying to limit it. I'm trying to give a kula. You're trying to bring a chumrah. I don't think so. All shuls are connected. What should you do if they broke down the shul, they closed it, they sold it, and you have nowhere to... What about my tefillahs? You go to the shul, put a bag, pull your tefillahs, take it to the next shul. The next time you daven with kavanah, we'll go up. Since we're talking about a shul, I'm remembering now a maaseh. I once went to Maran Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal. I spent some time in his house. Then I left the house and I went in Bnei Brak to a bris. I think my Shlomo Levenstein, Shlita, my friend, had a bris of his son. What's my answer? So I'm sitting there and the gabbai of Reb Chaim comes in. I just saw him 10 minutes ago by Reb Chaim. So I'm joking with her. I said, what did I miss after I left? It was just 10 minutes ago. He said, oh boy, did you miss something. Said, what did I miss? So I'm telling you, an old man in his 90s comes into Reb Chaim 2 minutes after you left. And Reb Chaim sits him down right next to him. He says, Rebbe, I came to tell you a story. Said, okay, but it comes with a question. So he tells him, when I was very young, I think I was 8 years old and my brother was 6, my father used to take us every single morning to daven shachris with the Chazon Ish. One day, we misbehaved. So our father told us, tomorrow morning, I'm not taking you to daven with the Chazon Ish. And we got so upset. We wanted to go daven with the Chazon Ish. We have to pause here. Shkoyach to that father. What great chinuch. That this is what his kids want. We want to daven with the Chazon Ish at that age. So he says to Reb Chaim, you know what we did? We took our father's shoes, hid them away. The father gets up in the morning, he looks for his shoes. Where are my shoes? Where are my shoes? Where are my shoes? Daddy, you want your shoes? Only if you agree to take us to the Chazon Ish. They gave him back the shoes. He took him to Chazon Ish. Reb Chaim loved the maaseh. So he says to him, what's the shaila? He says, Rebbe, do we have to do tshuva? He says, 80-something years ago, 90 years ago, I was 8 years old, my brother was 6 years old. Do we have to do tshuva? Lemaisa, we stole from my father, we got our father upset. Reb Chaim dismissed it. He said, no, it's okay, it's fine. I don't understand encouraging other kids to do that. After the Maisa, it's fine. Maybe, in fact, that's what the father wanted, maybe, to test him. I don't know. Lemaisa, Reb Chaim said, no, but, like your story, I think that we should all daven that this should be our sins. That we stole from our father the shoes because we really wanted to go daven with Gadol Ador in his minyan. I think it's a great sin to have. Maybe. You see a dirty tissue in the shul. Who should pick it up? The first person. Even you? Who told you? I'll tell you who tells you. Sefer Hasidim, one of the Rishonim. Simin Kuf Kaf Ches brings that Rabbi Yaakov ben Yakar, who's that? We said before. The Rebbe of Rashi used to sweep right in front of the Aron Kodesh, used to sweep the floor of the shul with his beard. I guess he had a long beard. And he used to sweep the floor of the shul right in front of the Aron Kodesh with his beard. So I think to bend down and to pick up a tissue from the shul, that's something even we can do. Chiddush. Dr. Berashul says another shayla about the shul. Reuven donated a beautiful paroiches to the shul. Mamish beautiful paroiches.
So how would you do tshuva for this?
I'm sorry?
You have to do tshuva for this?
Reb Chaim told him you have to do tshuva for this. You don't have to. It's fine. Don't have to do tshuva. Reuven donated a beautiful paroiches for the Aron Kodesh. Gorgeous. Golden letters. His name, his wife's name. Mamish beautiful. Sometime later, he got divorced. He goes to the Gabbai, he says, Gabbai, get my wife's name off the parochis. I come here, I see my name next to hers. I can't have any. Oh, it's disgusting. Do me a favor, take my wife's, I donated it. I'm asking you now to remove my wife's name. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it, no problem. The Gabbai asks, should he take it off or not? Yes? No? Why not? I can't see, I donated it, it's my money. I can't see my name next to her. She used to be my wife, now she's my enemy. Why not?
It's not his once he gave it away. Once he donated it, he has no right.
So you don't care that every single time he comes here, he has no kavah. He can't daven when he sees these two names together, Reuven and Rachel together. It doesn't work. He can't have kavah. He is the one who donated it to the shul. Well, you want to go against him? In spite? No, I'll show you.
Well, what's the reason to keep it then?
To keep what?
To keep her name on? Is there even a reason to keep it on? She doesn't go there. Does she?
Right, that's what Reuven says.
So take it off.
But 2 seconds ago he said no. Mishnah Rishoina, Mishnah Shniya.
Learning from the rock.
Oh! No, you have to say however.
However, no.
Ask him to take out both names.
I'm sorry?
Take out both names.
I want my name, I donated it. It's very expensive. I want everybody to know. Lemani Ruvi Rau.
Maybe when they donated from both men. Or maybe the wife.
Kol ma shekansa isha kanabayla. It was my money. Whatever my wife owns is mine. I donated it. I want her name off.
I don't hear the argument to keep it on.
What did you hear before when you did hear it?
No, I don't.
Good. That's a great person. That's a sign of a great person. Like the boy in Yerushalmi says, Ezu Adam Gadol. A person is willing to say, yeah, I changed my mind.
But
Rava used to come many times. In Shas Bavi was fine. Rava and other Amoraim says, what I told you yesterday, Dvarim she'amartu lachem emol, tavusim beyadim. I made a mistake. That's a sign of a great person. What do you say? I'm not saying you're right.
I don't want to be right.
what is it? What's the benefit of leaving it on? The benefit is that is there some food for the wife still? Because then it would be I don't know if it's
To leave a name on encourages, hopefully, other people to donate as well. I want to have the schus. The Rema writes in Hilchos Tzedakah, and you're there, I think Rish Mem Tes, that there is an Inyan, he brings it from the Rashba, it is an Inyan to be mefarsem or you say mitzvah. He did a mitzvah. He wants to have publicity. Whether for his ego or to encourage others, whatever reason, he's entitled to. But I don't want my wife's name, my ex-wife. She's an enemy.
it was her mitzvah too. That he's
Shkoyach, my money, I don't want her there.
There's not an issue of Varva Kedusha. Kedusha, the Baruch, it has some Kedusha. Can we do things with it?
So take the thread, the golden thread that you use her name, and put it in Gnisa.
There's no issue. No issue.
Put it in Gnisa. What's the problem? When it wears out, this porch, what are you going to do with it? You're going to take somebody, a different one, right? What are you going to do with the old one? Yes? No? No what? No opinion? Or don't take the name off? Or take the name off? Rebbe Yoshiv says the husband is right. It makes a lot of sense that you can't see your name next to her, your ex-wife, and therefore he can remove the name. You know which name? His name! You want to remove a name? Remove your own name! You gave her a gift back then when you gave it. You can't uproot now the gift that you gave her. Finished. The zchus is hers. If you want to remove a name, no problem. Remove your own name. Gevaldik. That's the third answer. What's that?
It's a gift.
Gevaldik. The Aaron had the kuvim, right? Shnei kuvim. What's the image of the kuvim? What do they look like? Children. What age?
6, 7.
6, 7. Who told you that? Not 4 or 5. Not so pashut. We only have 10 opinions. I found 10 opinions. What's that? Let's see. Tosfos on the Torah, and the Rib Bechor Shor and Rabbi Yitzchak of Vienna say bulls. The image of bulls. It's not kids. Chiddush. Rabbi Yitzchak ben Yehuda Halevi, different meaning, different animals. Another opinion. Ibn Ezra, he says it was like 2 lads, Shnei Ne'arim, and he says more accurately to say Yeladim, kids. I don't know what age. He doesn't say 6 or 7. Yeladim, toddlers. I don't know what. Chagiga Daf Yud Gimel, the Gemara says Tzuras Adam, the shape of a man, Partzuf, face of a tinok, a baby, and they have wings attached to them. Rabbeinu Bechaye, a few opinions. One of them, it's 2 kuvim, right? One of them, Adam Gadol, an adult. The other one, a little kid. Doesn't say what age, a little kid. The other opinion, in Rabbeinu Bechaye, one is the shape of a man and the other shape of a woman. Bereishis Rabbah, Medrash, Perek Chaf Aleph, Parsha Chaf Aleph, Oistes, in Shmois Rabbah. I'm sorry, in Bereshis, because this refers to the kuvim mentioned also regarding Gan Eden. And over there it says that they would switch from shape to shape. Sometimes they work like men, sometimes like women, sometimes like spirits, and sometimes like angels. Rashbam and Chizkuni, these are all Rishonim, look like a bird with wings and the face of a man. Rabbi Avraham ben Harambam, half a bird, half a man. 9 different opinions, but there's another opinion. And one opinion, and that is the Baal HaTurim. He says the Kruvim had, the pasuk right after that says, Ufenehem ish el achiv. It was the image of 2 friends sitting and learning Torah. What's the message in that? What do most people have hanging in their house, in the living room, in the bedroom? What picture? A nice view from somewhere they went to or that they aspired to go to. Something that they want to remember. Their wedding. The bar mitzvah. Ksuba. I'm not so sure it's a great idea, even though a lot of people do it. Doesn't really make sense. In case I divorce you, this is what you're going to get. I'm not so sure you want to hang it on your wall, but some people do for some reason. Not sure why. But most people put a picture of something which is dear to them. Something which awakens a certain memory. Or they want to impress other people for whatever reason with that picture. What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in his bedroom? Kodesh HaKodoshim, the holiest place in the world that a person can enter and no one can enter, only Kodesh, only Kohen Gadol. What does the Kodesh Baruch Hu decide? What picture is it if HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to put in the most important place in the world a picture of 2 guys sitting and learning Torah? Because to him that is the most important thing in the world. And anyone before he goes to learn has to think about it. I'm doing now what HaKadosh Baruch Hu finds so dear that he puts it as a picture in Kodesh HaKodashim. Moyadik. Rabbi Isai, a different type of a shayla. We're leaving Parshas Teruma, soon we'll see why we're asking this. There's a melamed in a cheder, a rebbe, little kids. And he says, you know, the best way to teach children, questions and answers, games. That's why Leila Seder, Ma Nishtana, everything is questions and answers. What's some people steal the Afrikoyman. To engage the kids, it's the best way to teach and for people to retain, right? Right? So this Milamed says, I want to do some kind of a game, play with the kids, a raffle, something to excite them. He saw in Coffee Simin in Shulchan Aruch or Chaim, what's Coffee Simin? Coffee Simin, that's to remember. What's coffee? Kuf Pei Hey. Bayer Heitev in Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Kofi Simin, Seif Kotan Aleph writes, you should know there's no pay sofit. There's no ending pay in the entire benching. Did you notice that? When you bench, there is no pay. Ending pay. Why is that? Anyone who will say benching with kavana, af and ketzef, these are devastating angels, cannot rule over that person. Af, ketzef, netzef, there's a lot of malachi chabala with ending pay. So to allude to the person who says the benching as he should, they can't touch him. There's no pay sofit there. The Bayer Heitev brings in from the Tashbetz. Tashbetz is one of the Rishonim. Sefer HaChinuch and Mitzvah Taf Lamed writes, I have a Kabbalah from my Rebbes. So this is a Rishon who says, I have a Kabbalah from my Rebbes. Anyone who articulates benching, davens the Kavana, will never lack Parnasa Bechavod. So this Melamed, after seeing this, these two sources, decided to play a game with the kids. He goes into class and he says, do you guys know that there is no pay sofit, there's no ending pay in benching. Whoever can find a pay sofit will get $20. And he holds a $20 bill and he says, if you find a pay sofit in benching, there is no, and the kids looked, and of course, there is no pay sofit. So he started explaining to them, you know why? Because the Bayer Heitev brings some of the tashbits, that Malachi Chabala can rule over a person who says it, and Sefer HaChinuch says, everybody was very excited. Now they got a excitement about benching, and it worked. But while he's saying it, one of the kids says, Rebbe, I found a pay sofit in benching. And the Rebbe says, sorry, it doesn't exist. He says, but Rebbe, I have it in my siddur. I don't know what version you're using. In my siddur, there is a pay sofit. And the Rebbe says, it's impossible. Rebbe, I have it here in my siddur. Can you show me? And the kid comes close, and in fact, in Purim, and that's why I'm asking this question, we say Alanissim. And Haman wanted to destroy all the Jews, young and old. Taf v'nashim in one day. What is taf? Little kids, taf, tet, pay sofit. There is ending pay in benching. Can I get the $20, please? You said there isn't an ending pay sofit in benching. There is. I just found one. Taf v'nashim. Taf is spelled with a pay sofit. Rebbe, $20. The Rebbe is asking, does he have to pay him or not? A whole big argument started in class. Wait, Alanissim is not part of benching. Alanissim is a part of benching. It's in my siddur. It's in your siddur. It's in his siddur. It's part of benching. It's not part of benching. We only say it during Purim.
And
Chanukah no, because Taf v'nashim only in Purim. We only say it in Purim. It's not part of benching. For 2 days a year, 1 day for you, 1 day for me. Yerushalayim and Bet Shemesh.
doesn't have to pay.
Doesn't have to pay.
There's no chiyuv if he misses it.
There's no chiyuv what?
If he misses it,
If you forgot to say, you don't have to repeat. But it's part of benching.
mashma shallah, no?
So let's say on Shabbos is also not part of benching because on Shalishudas we don't repeat, we don't come back. So it's not part of benching.
Inshallah, shallah, maybe not.
So it is part of benching the first and second meal, and not on Thursday and Wednesday. But how does that work? It's interesting what you say. $10 maybe. But you're saying Alanissim, a Purim, that's bichlat, not part of benching.
It depends how he said the question.
If you're going to find a pay sofit in benching, I'm going to give you $200. I found it.
Meaning like in a daily benching,
In benching, I didn't say it. If I would say on daily benching, on daily of Chodesh Shvat, in Tammuz, good, but I didn't say it. I said there is. You should know in benching there is no pay sofit.
I think he would.
You have to pay because it's a part of benching. But it says you don't have to. You don't have to come back and compensate if you miss it. So it seems that it's not a part of benching.
Part of benching.
It is part of benching.
Yeah.
It is part of benching. You have to pay. Shalem yeshalem.
Din, he doesn't have to pay, but
Why? Why? He said it's part of benching. Why? Mina din, he doesn't have to pay. Why?
because he meant obviously he didn't mean that. He meant regular part of benching.
So you're not responsible for what you say?
It's because he's quoting from other sources.
True.
What did they mean?
And the kids say that Maseres, whatever you're quoting from is wrong.
That's what he meant was benching, but he has to pay. I'll start
I'm not talking about Kait yet. I'm talking about din. What is the din? What's the halacha? I have to pay or not?
He didn't mean that. For sure he didn't.
And when you're mean, you don't have to pay? Even though you're committed in front of everybody?
It's clear that he didn't mean that.
Smachta. You're sending us Shulchan Aruch Mishpat. Simen Reish Daim. What is a smachta? I'm making a commitment to pay, but I don't have Gmirus Das. And that happens many times when a person, I'll make a bet. Let's make a bet. I know for a fact that I'm right. That's why I'm willing to take a bet. I don't want to lose my money. So I don't have Gemirus Das, and then Shulchan Aruch writes, it's a machlokes in Shas, whether asmachta kanya or asmachta lo kanya. Lemaisa we paskin asmachta lo kanya. I don't have to pay. Unless this asmachta was done in front of a Beis Din Chashuv, then you would have to pay. Or you did it when you say, me'achshav, for now, I'm committing myself. Not when we're going to find out later. So if you do it me'achshav, or a Beis Din Chashuv, you have to, but otherwise it's an asmachta, and asmachta lo kanya. But there's 3 more reasons why he doesn't have to pay. Asmachta is one. Second one. When you say to a kid, I'm going to give you a gift, and then you retract, are you called mechusar amana? You're a person that we cannot trust. When you commit to an adult to give a matana and you don't, you're mechusar amana. It's not a very great title to carry. Not very good. And Chazal are telling you mechusar amana, which means it comes with a curse. We don't want that. But when you commit to a kid who's 5 years old, I'm going to give you a gift, and then you don't. I think the first one who deals with the Shalosh Juvis is the Kilos Yankiv. Who's the Kilos Yankiv? Not the Stipler. I'm talking 350 years ago, before the Stipler. There's many Sfarim with the name Kilos Yaakov. That's Rav El Ghazi. He was from the rabbis of Izmir in Turkey and then Yerushalayim. He was the chief rabbi, Rishon LeZion, Sephardi rabbi, in Yerushalayim. And in his Sefer Tosfos de Rabbanon, that's what it's called, he says, you're not mechusar amana, it's no problem. But he himself in the Sefer quotes the Ran, comes a little before him, that says you have to give the kid and you are mechusar amana. Salmas Chaim, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonenfeld, he writes in Shalosh Teshuvos Salmas Chaim that you do have to give the kid, and if you don't, you are mechusar amana. And there, I'm sorry, exactly the opposite of what I said now. The Salmas Chaim and the Ran say you can retract, no problem. Rav El Ghazi in his Sefer Kilos Yaakov says no, you cannot. But he quotes the Ran that says that you don't have to. So the Melamed can say I hold like the Ran, I hold like the Salmas Chaim, and I don't have to pay the kid. Second answer. Third, anytime you have a condition, Choshen Mishpat, Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat in Siman Samech Aleph, Paskins, that is just like in Siman Reach, Siman Smell, in Yoredea, when we learn about Nedarim, we don't go after what you said. We go after your kavana. And if it's clear to us that you never intended to pay, and you said it just because you saw it in the Baya Heitev, who brings from the Tashbetz, it was clear to you that they're right, you don't have to pay. Because when there's a condition, we don't go after the literal words, we go after the kavana. Just like in the Darim, we go after the kavana, what people understand, what you meant, not the literal meaning of the words. And, lichoira, it's clear that you didn't intend to include Purim. You didn't see it in the Baya Heitev. And because of what you said, that if I forgot to say Nisim, I don't have to repeat. So obviously it's not a part, technically speaking, of benching, and then he doesn't have to pay. More than that, Liboy Anaso. What does that mean? The Gemara in Shavuos, Chavav, Amud Aleph. The Gemara learns that if you made a Shavua, be'oines, it's not called a Shavua Sheker. So Gemara, what does that mean, Shavua be'oines? Somebody forced you to take a Shavua. What does that mean? So Gemara, I'll tell you a story. Rav Kahana and Rav Asi would learn by Rav. Then they would go outside and would argue what Rav meant on a certain thing. And Rav Kahana says, I'm telling you, it's like what I'm explaining. And Rav Asi says, no, you're wrong, it's like what I'm explaining. I'm taking a Shavua that I'm right. And Rav Kahana will tell you, I'm taking a Shavua that I'm right. Then they went back to Rav, who's right? And Rav would say, you're right. So the other would say, oh, did I just make a Shavua Sheker? He says, no, Libcha Anascha. You were forced to because you were really convinced that that's what I said. And the Gemara says, if you make this type of a Shavua, you're not Chayav. This Melamed, this Rebbe, is like Libo Anascha. He saw his Rav, he believed his Rav. Who's the Rav? The Baya Heitev, the Tashbetz, the Rishonim, Tashbetz. He believed when they said, there is no pay sofit. He's not the only one that Tashbetz, we'll see soon. There's many others who say this. There is no pay sofit, and he believed him. It's as if like he took a shvua, he's chayav, he's patur, he doesn't have to pay. We have 4 reasons to exempt this melamed from paying. Similarly, there was once a melamed that said to the Talmidim, you should know, the 5th chapter of Maseches Zvachim, what is it called? Ezehu Mekoyman. You should know, it's the only chapter in Mishnayos that doesn't have machlokes. The only chapter. And if you find another chapter that doesn't have machlokes, I'll give you 20 shekels. The kids see 20 shekels in front of their eyes and they go start working. Kaf HaChaim says this. In Siman Nun, Seif Kotan Aleph, Kaf HaChaim says, there is no other chapter. Only Ezu Mekomen does the machlokes. He's quoting the Beis Yosef, but the Beis Yosef didn't say there is no other chapter. The Beis Yosef says the Ezu Mekomen doesn't have machlokes, period. The Kaf HaChaim stretches it and says, and by the way, it's the only one. The kids take some Mishnahs and they start working. And they worked, and they worked, and the following day they come to the Rebbe, says, Rebbe, we find 10 other chapters in Mishnahs that don't have machlokes. Pay us please 200 shekels. You said 20 shekels per chapter, we found 10. The Rebbe says, but I relied on Kaf HaChaim. Kaf HaChaim is my Rebbe. Kaf HaChaim wrote, there is no other. Even though the Beis Yosef didn't say it, but Kaf HaChaim decided to. I can't rely on the Kaf HaChaim. And the Melamed asks, do I have to pay? There was another Ma'aseh. A Bachur told his friends in class, you know, my Rebbe from the previous yeshiva, Shiva Ktana, was so brilliant. He was a baki, mamish expert in the entire Shas Bavli. And he once told me that you'll never find 3 back-to-back dapim in the Gemara that Rava or Rabba don't appear there. Says, really? Can't believe it. 3 dapim, you can't? Nope. Believe me, if my Rebbe said something, he knows Shas mamish cold. It's unbelievable. They said, we're not so sure about that. And what if we find another 3 consecutive dapim that Rabba or Rava don't appear? He says, I was just tested by the yeshiva on some pages of Gemara, and they're supposed to give me 400 shekels. I'll give that to you. And he says, but if you don't find, and I'm right, you give me 100 shekels. And they agreed. And they wrote it down, and it's not like an asmachta de lokanya. They did everything right. Great. These guys went to work. They opened up Mavodah Zorah and Orios and Zvachim. And then they came to him 3 days later. Your Rebbe was wrong. Tainis. Yudaled, Tesvav, Tetzayin, 3 dapim, Rava, and Rabba don't appear there. 400 shekels. So the yeshiva wants to know that the yeshiva have to pay this guy who was tested or these kids. Do they get it? He says, I relied on my Rebbe. They said, Shkoyach to you. You said something. We made a kinyan. We made an agreement. We found, but I relied on my Rebbe. Lichoira, this is like the Ma'aseh with Rav Kahana and Rav Asi who relied on the Rebbe. This is, I'm convinced, it's just like our case with the guy who's relying on the Baya Hetev that brings from the Tashbetz, and they all don't have to pay. This Shaila came to Rav Elyoshem, and Rav Elyoshem says, you better pay! Why? Because of what you said before. Because it's the Gemara. In Sukkah Mem Vav Amud Beis, the Gemara says, don't say to a kid, I'm going to give you something, and don't follow through with this. Because you're going to teach the kids to be a liar. Limdu l'shoinam daber sheker. It's a pasuk from Yirmiyah. You're teaching him, when you say something, you don't have to actually do it. It's terrible. What kind of a chinuch is that? That's not chinuch. And the Maharatz Chiyus writes that from this Gemara in Sukkah, that is where the Rambam learned that one has to be extremely careful with little kids to make sure they always speak emes. And this is like an obligation on their parents and on their melamdim. And therefore, all these halachic reasons why we want to exempt the Rebbe potentially are right halachically. But they must make sure, and more than that, you're dealing with kids. When you tell them a riddle is not a halachic shaila. You're telling them you're never going to pay from this page to this page in benching. Guess what? I did. You have to understand what the kids will understand when you're asking a riddle meant for them. Memele, it's going to look as if the melamed doesn't keep his word, and that will be devastating and terrible for the kids, and therefore for these reasons, he should pay. By the way, the Rokeach, we brought Rishonim, Tashbetz, there's more. Rokeach, one of the Rishonim, he writes, in all the brachos of Birkas Hamazon, all the letters appear except for Pei Sofit, to tell you the same idea, that all the Malachei Chabala with Pei Sofit cannot rule, but he says also it doesn't appear in Yotzei Or. And also Avarabba, the blessings before the Shema, you're not going to find a Pei Sofit there. Kaf HaChaim writes in Siman Nun Tet, Seif Kotan Gimel, in Yotzei Or, there is no Pei Sofit to tell you that if you say Yotzei Or with Kavana, Satan and no other damaging agent can rule over it, and your tefillah will be accepted. The Rokeach adds that in the Shmoneh Esrei, you're not going to find a Pei Sofit. The entire Shmoneh Esrei, except of course the Alanissim of Purim. But I guess he's not qualifying it as part of the bench. That's Rishonim, Rokeach. Sefer Hasidim, Simen Tav Tav Shin Nun Daled writes, since the Pei Sofit is in the name of Malachi Chabala, and he brings examples of their names, Af and Zaf and Shetzef and Ketzef and Negef and Enef and Reshef, and therefore you're not going to fight Pesach in any prayer except Musaf. Because in Musaf you say, Musaf Yom Ploni. Musaf in itself has the Pesach, so you're stuck. But otherwise, you're not going to fight Pesach. So Rishonim speaking. Baal HaTurim writes, in Parashat Bechukoisai, you find the brachos. From the beginning of the brachos, in Bechukoisai Telechu, all the way till Va'olech Eschem Komemius, all the blessings, you're not going to find a Samech or a Pei Soifis. Why? Because Satan and Af and Netzef and Ketzef and all these Malachi Chabala do not rule over these blessings. The truth is, most of the blessings we say do not have a Pei Sofit. Most of Birkos HaShachar don't have it, except I found 3. Hanoisen Laya'ef Koyach, Kof Es Yitzreinu, that's a Pei Sofit, and Zoikef Kefufim, Zoikef has a Pei Sofit, so 3. But most of them do not have. Baruch She'amar doesn't have it. Ishtabach doesn't have it. All the Birkos HaNe'enin, the She'akod and the Borei Pi Adama, they don't have it. Bachar Alamichya, Me'in Shalosh doesn't have it. The Chiddush in the first brachos that we mentioned is so long and still doesn't have any pace of it. The whole benching doesn't have it, and that is the Chiddush.
Maybe in the Taliyah, we have in Gemara Brachos, it says, Ein Uf El Torah.
Okay, just like that balances things out. The Torah will, the Koyach of Torah.
In the Spanish and Portuguese first paragraph, Ma'adif, they add an extra verse and it's a final refrain. Why is it there? Because remember the Machlok of Shabbatai Tzvi, and it's Chacham Sasquesas. He was then in Holland, but he was the Chacham in London. He realized that Shabbatai Tzvi was a fake. Right? He stopped the rot. Right? And in front of the Nusach of Spanish and Portuguese, they went through it and they tried to take out as much of reference to Kabbalah as possible.
Right.
So sometimes they took and they added. This is one of the cases where they added the fade.
What did they add? What's the word?
Hamadif.
Hamadif what? I have to see it inside. It's a chiddush to me. I'm not familiar with this. I don't know. Right. We have to do some research and find out. But even if they did, they added it. It's not part of benching. The original benching is the one without that the Rishonim quote that came before them. They quote it without. Now you can add anything you want in it. It doesn't make it into part of benching that the Rishonim discussed. Why did they add it? It's a shayla on them. Okay, we're going to have to find out. Do some research and come back next week.
Because they wanted to break the connection.
Maybe. But it doesn't turn it into part of benching that the Rishonim discussed. The Rishonim discussed the version that was in front of them that most of Klal Yisrael has without the pace of it. So that was, yeah.
On Tefillah, the Rav said Shatarit and Luchayim don't have it tough.
He says the Rokeach says the entire Shmoneh. The entire Shmoneh.
But we don't count the Purim again. Because the Purim
I said without the Al Nisim, because Al Nisim is unique for one day, and if you missed it, you don't have to repeat. They're not calling it part of benching, part of davening. Al Nisim is not, technically speaking, part of benching. It's an addition. Since we talked about Purim, that's the reason I brought the Shaila, let's ask a riddle for Purim. Very, very strange. Can it be that one of the dinim that we all do on Purim is actually from the Torah? Is Purim discussed in the Torah? No. Where's Purim coming from? A little later, right? And yet, you're saying it comes later. So what is one of the sources to one of the dinim in the Torah, to one of the dinim that we all do in Purim? Tzedakah. Where does it say, thou shalt give tzedakah on Purim? Tzedakah is a general thing. But who says on Purim? One of the halachos regarding Purim is found in the Torah. First of all, can it be? If I'm asking, probably it is. It's very strange. So that doesn't apply to Purim, necessarily.
It's not Purim per se, but Machatzit HaShekel.
Purim per se. Matzah shekel you give on Purim?
No, before.
I'm talking about Purim. Purim. That's Tehillim. The apostle from Tehillim. I'm talking about Torah. Chamisha Chum Shei Torah.
Doesn't that concept appear somewhere in the Torah?
Find it.
Mechias Amalek.
Ches Amalek has nothing to do with Purim.
Yom Kippur.
Mechias Amalek.
The Gemara in Chulin asks, where do you find Haman? Haman is not a din of Purim. Halacha that you apply, that you do every single year.
Looking at some Amalek's not Purim.
That's they did. You read Parshas Zachor on Purim?
We make noise on Haman.
That's a mitzvah Mechias Amalek. Yeah, and if you didn't do noise, it's Ma'akev. Many shuls don't. You read Vayavu Amalek, and that's a obligation from the Torah? It's written in the Torah. It's an obligation from the Torah? Something that you do in Purim is an obligation from the Torah. What does it say in the Torah? Thou shalt eat on Purim. Davening? Davening is the Rabbanon. You have a source? Big Chiddush what you're saying. It's like a moed. So you're not to do a melacha? Do you ride on Purim? Do you drive on Purim? Oh, funny moed.
Or the man that says they should put it away, but the Torah should see the man that they, you see does an Indian, you should make a zeker to a nes.
That's Tzintzenes Haman.
You see the
Matanot Ish Le'Re'eu is from the Torah? The Megillah says to do that. And a day before Purim, a day after, I'm not supposed to have any achdus and ava, chas v'shalom. Purim? Rebbe Yoshiv Zatzal writes in a sefer called Otzos Tahara Ilchos Nida, but he brings it because of something related. A woman is she allowed to eat meat and then she goes to Toivel or not? So he writes, by the way, you should know, there is an opinion that Purim is stronger, adif, than Shabbos, which means, nafkamina, if you have a piece of meat on Friday, Purim is going to be on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Keep it for Purim, don't eat it on Shabbos. Chiddush. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Simin Taf Reish Tzadi Vav. This is not a drush. Shulchan Aruch Seif Zayin. Taf Reish Tzadi Vav Seif Zayin. The Mechaber writes, Yesh Misha Omer, there's an opinion, Shulchan Aruch. Oinen, which means his relative passed away but still wasn't buried. Is an oinen allowed to have meat and wine? No! Says Shulchan Aruch, yes! Why? The lo asi ased de yachid, he has a mitzvah from the Torah to be an oinen today. But that's his private mitzvah. And private mitzvah will not come and override an aseh de rabim. The aseh applies to all of us. The oraisa, to be happy on Purim, the divrei kabbalahu, which is like divrei Torah, comes out. Eating meat, you said Seuda. Eating meat on Purim, drinking wine, is a dioraisa midivrei kabbalah, according to the Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch. Chiddush? It says in Shulchan Aruch. Pele. You did so good in the previous riddle, I'll ask you another one.
So all the mitzvahs of the Torah are divrei kabbalah, right?
He says the mitzvah to eat. He finds it in the Torah itself, why it's divrei kabbalah. Divrei kabbalah is kedivrei Torah damyan. It's like divrei Torah, which means when you have a mitzvah not to do something as an individual, but you have a mitzvah collectively to do something, it's stronger than your private mitzvah. So the aseh de rabim, the positive mitzvah for the rabim, overrides your aseh of the individual not to do this, and therefore you have to eat meat lechoira from the Torah. That's the language of the Shulchan Aruch.
Why is meat divrei kabbalah? Because it says nishta b'simcha?
Because it's divrei neviim. Divrei neviim. A chiyuv from divrei neviim is divrei kabbalah. Divrei kabbalah is like divrei Torah. That's what Chazal say.
What does it say in the Megillah to eat meat? Nishta b'simcha? It says mishta, it says...
What is mishte? What is mishte? We mimic exactly what happened back then, and therefore, why do we eat meat and why do we drink wine? Because divrei kabbalah. Divrei kabbalah is like divrei Torah. And since we talked about wine, I'll ask you another riddle, because you did so good in the previous one. Shulchan Aruch Chaim Siman Taf Reish Tzadi Hei Seif Beis, we learn. Shulchan Aruch quotes the Gemara in Megillah Daf Zayin Amud Beis. Michayev hinish livesumei bepuraya ad lo yada. Right? We're all familiar with this. Not sure if you're all familiar with the two halakim of Megillah Esther with Midah Keneged Midah that discusses 550 different interpretations what it really means. B'halacha u'v'agata. We know there's different opinions. Do you really have to get drunk what it means? Fine. What is to drink wine on Purim? Good. How is it possible that one has a bottle of wine in front of him? It's his. No shaila of nadarim. No shaila of pikuach nefesh. Doctor says you can drink as much as you want. Even his wife permits him to drink. He's not allowed to drink. He's not a doctor going to operate someone in 5 minutes. No. He is healthy, young, fit, willing, and able. Whatever you want. Chas v'sholom, don't dare drink. What about next year? Don't dare drink. Purim, you're not allowed to. He's never allowed to drink at Purim. The wine is his. It's not stolen. It's his. It's in front of him. He wants to drink. He actually likes wine. No.
Every year, just like
Every single year. But I like it. Shulchan Aruch told me to drink. No, you're not allowed to. What about my brother, my sister, my son, my wife? They can all drink if they want. You can't.
He's sick.
No, not Nazir.
He's not sick.
He is healthy. He just had his annual. Doctor says, psh,
He's Michal Shabbos, for example.
he is a tzaddik Godol Hador.
He made a neder.
Godol Hador. No nedarim.
Any amount of wine?
Any amount of wine at Purim. Stay away. How can this be? Shulchan Aruch says drink. And we say no. He daven whatever you want, including Musaf. There is no Musaf Purim, but he's such a tzaddik, he daven Musaf. And Ne'ilah.
he didn't make the
Purim Kippur, Yom Kippurim. What's that?
he didn't make the Abdallah.
He made 3 times Avdallah to be Yoitzer Kol Shitos. Chiddush from the land of Chiddush. Yeah?
Is he a Kohen?
He's a Kohen Levi in Israel. Godol Hador. Kohanim don't drink on Purim?
Maybe he's not a mikdash. Maybe
Kohanim today. Purim today.
Because he's sleeping now.
I'm sorry?
Sleeping.
He didn't sleep. He hates sleeping. He doesn't like sleeping. He doesn't sleep. Some Sofer. In Shalos HaTshuvah, some Sofer. So carries more weight.
did he want to do something on Purim that he has to do tshuva and not drink anymore on Purim because he did something?
Godol Hador, Baruch Hashem, didn't sin yet. And he's 99 years old. Never sinned. Hopefully he will never sin.
You didn't hear Megillah yet?
3 times. And he also read it to a bunch of people as well. I'm talking Godol Hador, tzaddik. I'm sorry? Chas v'sholom. There are no non-Jews in his city or country. He made the wine and he kept it and he was watching it since he made it. I don't know if he had time to make the wine when he's reading 3 times Megillah, but he found time.
He has very little tolerance. A drop of wine, he becomes totally drunk.
3 barrels won't make him drunk. Shalos HaTshuvah, Chsam Sofer, Chelek Aleph, Simen, coffee. Kuf Pei Hey. Should have read in Simen Yain, but it came out in Simen Coffee. Kuf Pei Hey. One who knows that he was born in a Mazal Ma'adim. If you were born, different constellation. Gemara Shabbos Kuf Nun Vav. If you were born under the Mazal of Ma'adim, Mars, potentially, you can be a Sheikhet. If you're going to drink some wine, you may shecht someone. Stay away from drinking. He's not allowed levesume because of the chashash. Maybe he's going to drink. Rabbi Yosh says we don't hold like this. Chsam Sofer. Chsam Sofer himself says if you have a suffix, whether you were born in Mazal Ma'adim or not, you don't have to worry about it because we have to go after the majority. Most people are not born in that Mazal. And Shomer Psayim Hashem, and you're engaged in the mitzvah. Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to protect you. You don't have to worry. But if you know for a fact you were born in Mazal Ma'adim, Chsam Sofer says, stay away from wine. Pile ploy. 2 more things about Purim. Gemara says in Brachos, Nun Dalet Amud Aleph, Gemara dashes what we say every single day about Shema. Ve'ahavta Hashem Lokecha bechol levavcha. What is bechol levavcha? The Gemara says, with both Yetzer HaTov and Yetzer Hara. How is it possible to serve a Kodesh Baruch Hu with Yetzer Hara? What does that mean? Yetzer HaTov, I understand. Daven, do mitzvahs. That's what Yetzer HaTov tries to tell me. Yetzer Hara? How do I serve everybody Shalom with Yetzer Hara? It works very well on Purim. The ani comes to you, and Yetzer HaTov says, give him 200 shekels. Yetzer Hara says, no, give him only 20 shekels. To serve everybody Shalom with Yetzer HaTov and Yetzer Hara means you have to give him 220 shekels. That works only on Purim. If we're talking about money, you should know what the Or Zarua says. Or Zarua is one of the Rishonim, and that's a tremendous chiddush. The Gemara in Beitza, the Zayin, says, Kol mezonoisav shel Adam ktsuvim lo, mirosh Hashanah ve'ad Rosh Hashanah. A person's income is decreed on Rosh Hashanah, all the way until next Rosh Hashanah, except chutz. The Gemara says 3 things. The Medrash says another, a 4th. So we remember it in an acronym of Tishrei, Taf Shin Reish Yud. Taf is Talmud Torah. If you spend more for Talmud Torah, you're going to get the best Rebbe for your kids. Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to give you more. Shin, expenditures for Shabbos. Reish, Tishrei. Reish, Rosh Chodesh. That's from the Medrash. And Yud, Yontif. You spend more, Kol HaMoisif, Moisifin Loi. If you spend more, they will give you more. So there's a loophole in the system. You can get more than your decreed income. V'chol HaPoiches, Ve'im Pachas, if you take away, you don't want to spend so much for the mitzvahs, Poichasin Lo. Comes the Or Zarua and says, and so too for the expenses for Chanukah and Purim. So if you're worried about expenses for Purim, call a Moisif Lord. And if you have a question about this, go to the Or Zarua. Says, Rebbe, you owe me. Or Zarua is one of the Rishonim. Rebbe, I relied on you. I ask you please beseech on my behalf and they should give me more parnasa because I relied on you. In Mitzvah Hashem, we should all have plenty parnasa. Beruchnius, begashmius, we'll be showered with Mitzvah Hashem with good things. Good Shabbos, Rabbi Yisrael.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.